is the social structure. This is the, if you want to say social pyramid, when you guys learned about Egypt, you had the social pyramid. This is what this is. And this its first image actually is in the form of a pyramid. Okay. And again, after the fall of the Roman Empire, you had no kind of strong central, you don't want to say government, but it is government. There was no empire, there was no government. It was smaller little kingships, okay? So kings who controlled certain areas. You had the Holy Roman Empire, you had a bunch of Germanic kings and lords, you had British kings and lords. It was very broken up. It's not united, okay? And we're going to go over why that is, and also how the structure is set up, okay? So I'm going to start from the top. So you have the king. So just for example, if we're talking about the Holy Roman Empire, you have the first king would be Charlemagne. So you have Charlemagne. Below him will be his lords. So Charlemagne would be the king of the Holy Roman Empire. But throughout the Holy Roman Empire, you'd have different lords who had control over a certain area, and that'd be the manor. Okay, just imagine it's just a giant town, and with a castle in the center of it, and farms and fields and little villages outside of it. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys different pictures of what a manor looked like and kind of how that system worked. Okay, you had lesser lords who were vassals who, again, king was on top, but the lords ruled a lot of portions of the lands that were given by the king, and the vassals again were given land by the lord, and they had to rule that land. Okay, and then below that you had knights. Again, knights are soldiers. Everyone knows knight in shining armor, but they had a lot of political power. And again, because they had military service, they would usually move their way up. Okay, so knights can move their way up to possibly being lords. But again, it's a lot of familial passing along, hereditary. So it's complicated to move up and down, but it is possible for a knight to move up. Peasants and serfs, they don't. Okay, and I have serfs in parentheses, but peasants at this point, they were called serfs, and serfs were loyal to the land. Not loyal, but they were kind of locked to the land. Okay, they weren't slaves, but they were required to work the land for the lord that they were under. Okay, and they couldn't really move up or down, so they had to kind of marry within this portion. Okay, so serf kind of had to marry a serf. You can move up and say someone who is more of a noble would not be marrying a serf. Okay, all right. So again, you go king down. Okay, so king gives land and protection. Serfs are loyal. Knights military service. Okay, they work the land for the lords, and the lords give that to the king. All right, so it's kind of complicated, but again, serfs work the land. Okay, knights protect the land. Serfs, the goods that they grow goes to the lords, okay, out of the vassals of the lords. They get a portion of it, and then after that, the rest goes to the king. All right? Simple, but we're going to go over it some more. Okay? So feudalism is a political, social, and economic system which began in the 800s. So this was actually begun by Charlemagne. And I'm going to talk about Charlemagne. I just want to talk about like the system first before we start talking about the different people in the Middle Ages. Because again, the Middle Ages is kind of confusing because you have very deep histories in different parts, and they're all kind of going on at the same time. It's tough to jump back and forth. So the way I'm going to set this presentation up, and the way we're going to talk about things, I'm really just talking first about how everything was set up in the Middle Ages. So the church, the manors, the feudal system, what were knights, okay, chivalry, and then I'm going to move on to like who was Charlemagne and what were the Crusades, okay, and we'll go from there, okay. All right, so 5 levels of social structure. Again, we kind of just went over this, but again, I just want to show you guys different versions of it. So you have the monarch. A monarch is a king, all right, or queen. They're the main ruler. Lords received land for their loyalty, got money from the crops grown on the land. They kept order and collected taxes. So again, lords and vassals, they're the same, but vassals are lesser lords. Okay, knights, warriors were given land by lords, follow the code of behavior called chivalry. Again, we're going to talk about that. Okay, they were the ones who protected the land. Freemen, which we don't really talk much about them, but could work for a lord wherever they wanted. The difference between a freeman and a serf is a serf was tied to the land. They weren't a slave, but they were required to work on the land because the lord or the vassal gave them housing and gave them land to work on and live on. All right, so they couldn't freely go from like manor to manor where the freeman could. All right, but primarily people stay on a manor, and there's different reasons. Protection is one of them. The reason everyone kind of becomes secluded in a way on manors is you have barbarians and you have different tribes who are just kind of like coming down from northeastern Europe, and they're actually the ones who broke up the Roman Empire. So, and there's a lot of fighting. And it's just safer to kind of like be in one spot. So people didn't really travel. Okay, it was dangerous to go onto the roads and go trading. So you really just kind of stayed where you were. Okay, so serfs would live on a single manor for their entire life. All right, I'm going to show you what a manor is in like 2 slides. Okay, so again, if you ever need to pause for a second, just kind of look at the pictures, just do that. Okay, again, this is another one. Again, like I said before, it was begun by Charlemagne, so in like the 800s when he's crowned king of the Holy Roman Empire. Okay, some lords built up military power and became independent. We're going to talk about that. Don't worry too much about that. Okay, feudalism began to crumble in the 1400s. Again, we're going to get to that. And the plague was one cause of the fall. The plague we talk about at the end. Okay, bubonic plague kind of rips apart Europe. Okay, so now I just want to show you guys what a manor is. Okay, and this is the economic side of feudalism. All right, the manor was the lord's estate. So king lives in a castle. Don't worry about him right now. We're going to talk about where the lord and the serfs live. Okay, the manor was an economic arrangement between a lord and his serfs. So you'd have the lord who would give protection to the serfs. He would give land to the serfs. They would farm the land. They would keep a small portion of it to themselves, and the rest would go to the lord, who then eventually would give it to the king. Okay? All right. The lord would provide serfs with housing, serfs with farmland, and protection from bandits. Again, like I said before, you didn't really travel during this time period. You kind of lived on the manor, and you did not leave. Okay, we obviously see examples of people leaving. It's not like that. You have the Crusades where you have this 4 or 5 Crusades, actually more than that. We have big groups of people going to the Holy Land. But again, it was super dangerous, and thousands of people would die just going on the trip before they even got to the Holy Land to fight. So it was just dangerous to travel. Okay, so just kind of remember that. Okay. In return, serfs tended the lord's lands, cared for his animals, and performed other tasks to maintain the estate. Okay, so they weren't slaves. They weren't slaves, but they weren't allowed to leave. Okay, and again, the manor was largely a self-sufficient community. And I'm just going to go right ahead and show you guys a picture of what a manor would look like. Okay. All right. So again, you have the lord's castle. Okay, and say they were being attacked by a invading force. All right, everyone, all the serfs who are down here, okay, would go behind the castle walls and hide in the lord's castle. Okay, and they were allowed to do that because the lord is giving them protection. But again, what they're doing is they're farming these fields. Okay, giving it to the lord. They have a portion. Lord gets a portion. King gets a portion. Okay, the lord taxes them again for using the land. That money goes to the king. Okay. If you want to just break it up by the parts in the manor, in your textbook, it's broken up. I think it's more than 4. You can go check. Okay. But you have the manor house, which is the lord's home. So you have the lord's castle here. You have the village, which is where the serfs live. Okay, I'm going to use serfs. I'm not going to use peasants. So just kind of remember, we had plebeians in Rome. Those are the peasants. We have serfs in the Middle Ages. Those are the peasants. Okay. The meadowland, which is just, again, used for grazing animals. So you have sheep, cows, whatever out here. Okay. Wasteland, woods, streams, ponds, provided berries, nuts, honey, and animals for hunting. Okay. And again, you have the east fields and west fields. Again, I'm just basing it off this picture, which are the fields that the serfs farmed. And again, very important, you have the church. Okay. The church had a large role in everyday life during this time period. Okay, you read about that in the worksheets. We're going to go over that more coming up. Okay, all right, just a couple of things. You have garden, orchards, farm buildings, grinding mill, which is over here, grind the wheat into flour, church. There's an example of a church over there. Okay, and then the well for fresh drinking water. Okay, that they would get from the ground. All right. Now I'm just going to show you what a serf's home would look like. Here we go. Okay, so very simple. All right, if you look in the top right, the serfs would live kind of very cramped together. Again, you see the church over here. If you go farther over here, you'll see the Lord's castle. But this is where the serfs would live. Okay, inside of it, it was very plain. So it would look like this. Okay, and I'll just kind of break this down. Clustered together to form a village. Sticks with mud for walls or wooden planks. Okay, again, this is kind of like a drawing depiction, but this is what it looked like. Thatched roofs, straw, and hay. Okay, single room, so you can almost call it like a little studio. All right, everyone would kind of live. They didn't really have beds; they would kind of sleep on hay. If they had beds, then it was nice, but not really. Dirt floors, low ceilings, shared homes with livestock, heated with wood, burning fire. And I think you guys can all assume that there were a lot of accidents that would happen with the fire in a wooden house in a cramped village. Okay, so not very safe. Okay, take a second if you want to pause. All right, serf's life. Okay, difficult. They turned to the church, offered hope and peace. Okay, don't even worry about that picture on the right. It's just another kind of depiction of a manor. Each assigned strip of land in each of the manors, 3 fields, about 1 acre. So that's the land that they would farm. Again, they would get some of the goods, the Lord would get some of the goods, and the king would get some of the goods. Okay? Best soil was used for the Lord. Okay? Had to work on Lord strips at least 3 days a week. So they would go from their strip of land to the Lord's strip of land, say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they would work on their strip. People commonly did work 7 days a week, even though Sunday was the Lord's day and you're supposed to not work. Again, when you're working 3 days on the Lord's land, you have to make sure to work your land as well. Okay, we're allowed to sell their surplus. We're allowed to sell their own surplus for profit, and that's really going to go year by year based on the harvest. So if you have a good harvest and you have a percentage of your harvest that you can sell, good for you. You can make some money. But we're going to see at different points during the Middle Ages, you're going to have a lot of different, the plagues do affect this, the bubonic plague, but it's going to be a little bit later on. You're going to have droughts, the weather during the Middle Ages. You have a mini ice age that's going to destroy the crops. Okay, so primarily though, you're just kind of just farming to survive, farming to have enough food to survive. You're not looking to turn a huge profit. It's called subsistence farming, where you really just have enough for yourself and you have a little extra. Okay. Okay. Again, there's just another picture of the Smash system. Now, what I want to do is I want to quickly show you guys, if I can exit out of this. Whatever. Okay. I want to show you guys what you're going to be doing for the castle project. Okay. So if you look here, don't worry about that. This is the link that brings you to different parts of the castles. So on the slides, you do at least 10. You can do 14 parts of the castle. You title it, and then you tell me what that part does. So again, if you click on this, okay, brings you to this. If you scroll down, here you go, parts of the castle. Okay, so you can really just take from this. Again, put it into your own words. Get a photo off of the internet. So get a photo of a drawbridge. Get a photo of a dungeon. Okay, and put that in the slide. All right. And then the second one is, again, use your own words. But the second part is the fun part, where you use this castle designer. Okay. You click medieval, which is spelled wrong. All right, and then you can, oh, this is actually when I started. All right, you have different parts, okay? Um, Let me see. Mm-hmm. And you kind of do what you want. Okay, so pretty fun. All right, so if you have any questions of the project, just let me know. It is a grade, but it's not due to next Friday. It's kind of a fun grade. All right.